I go, watch me flow. Here I go again, locked in the lectual bit. I was working, relaxing, minding my business. The days of the week go by, and it's time to record this. I watched, I shared QG's new with us. Petrie, Ray, Queen, Rico, and his Genesis. We brought it and flipped it. Last week was winded. Now it's time to kick it off with more vid topics. But hold on, make sure you like and favorite our videos. Share them on Facebook, especially on Twitter too. Locked in the lectuals, 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 locked. Hi guys, it's Canadian Queen 76. You are with me on Fiery Fridays, LocdN2Lectuals, and I want to discuss my views on the N-word. The educator in me needed to know where this word came from. When I was younger, I knew what nigga meant. I knew that I wasn't supposed to use it. I knew that it was an inflammatory type thing, especially when you consider the source. Sure, we know that, hey, it means ignorant, or it's an inflammatory word for the black race. I never really had a lot of put downs. I know as kids you just say crazy things to get people all riled up, but my mom really was a stickler for not calling people outside their names. When I hear young people use it nowadays, they're not really selective of the company they bring it in. It's like, you can say it, but I can't say it. But for real, where did this word come from? It's in our music. We sell it in hip hop. I mean, we sell it in culture. And now, when I was younger, if someone called me outside of my name, or called me ugly, or called me crazy, or what have you, I learned to use these, or you got really good at just looking at people real crazy. So, of course, I went online and I checked within books. This is what I came up with. The origins of this word came from Africa, like so many other great things in the world. It's always been something that was accessible to the public. It started out with many different spellings. Basically, the root word of the N-word meant God, divine, king, emperor. As a matter of fact, emperor couldn't exist without the root word. Through translation, council, official, the people. This is a great, great, great lineage from this word. So when I look at the history of the word, it has a really bad connotation now than it ever did then when it started out. And it didn't start out as a bad word. It was a word that was just, it meant when you saw dark people, when dark people came across in ancient times, when people came across dark people, they thought of them as gods. That's what they thought they were. So what I did was I did a lot of soul searching and a lot of research. The educator in me just would not let it rest. And so when they were talking about these words, you have words like Nagesh, Nagus, Nikoshi, Indaba, Inaga. These words all meant great things, similar to God. That this word has history beyond just America. It has history, from the beginning of time. The word began to take a little bit more of a transformation when invasions of Africa started to happen. Words were created by man, but God gave us these words, and Europeans came in contact with people of darker complexions. And when they saw these people, they still didn't equate this word with that, but they did come up with a word for black. So what I want to do is take you down, a journey just a light overview of how this word originated, and then that way you can decide for yourself. And black was the word poorly translated, and so it came out to be Niger, Nigra, Niger, Negro, Niger, Nigger, Niger. And all these words just simply mean dark. Not necessarily black, but dark. And I think it just comes down to education. It gets even further into history as we move into, wars, invasions, slave trade. And so when I look at the history of this word, or any word for that matter, it has its roots, and it goes all the way back to the beginning of time when man was created. Slave trade, even more Europeans started to become involved, but the people who were more involved in the slave trade were very uneducated. And so even though they might have heard these words, they became loosely translated and even more incorrectly pronounced, and they still didn't know what these words meant. And then they started to associate these words with a race of people. I mean, it's the same thing, same root word. Because in slavery, you start taking away people's cultures, their heritage, their education, their beliefs. You start taking away their rights. You don't look at them as people or individuals. You strip them of their dignity, and you make them less than, inferior than human. And so to strip people away from that, you have to call them something different, and you have to translate it to something else, because they're not going to forget who they are right away. This is going to take generations and generations of brainwashing to get it there. But basically, they started taking this word, transforming it from meaning God, divine, and great things, to black and dark, and a color, to actually now it belongs to a person, and it's a race of people. Europeans over history have decided that during the slave trade that this is what's going to happen. These people are going to be named these things. Needless to say, I believe nigga and nigger are the same. And I'm not one who's an advocate for using it as a term of endearment. In 1619, John Ross spelled negars, Negars, in his inventory records, because that was still not even a spelling for the word. It was loosely translated. In 1689, inventory for Niggor, Niggor, was recorded. Still not being able to spell the word. These were just incorrect spellings of the root word. And so once you strip someone of their dignity and you deny that they have a soul, that's the big thing. You deny that they have a soul, you feel like you can treat them like animals. Then during that slave trade, whites also disciplined their children, and they used the N-word as a place of inferiority. They were like, you don't want to be like that nigger. You don't want to be like that. You don't want to be low and inferior and dumb. You don't want to do that. So it's a brainwashing of their own children over generations for them to get this word to mean something derogatory over time. Because I know the word now in present day is pretty much used to make others feel inferior, I won't use that. Remember that children's rhyme, eeny, meeny, miny, mo? Well, it really originated from a child's song made by white parents. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a nigger by his toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And I've played that game when I was younger. I play that game now. And it wasn't that. It was Catch a Tiger. And it's still around today. Very eye-opening. And that's not only one children's rhyme that I heard. It's embedded in our culture. If you don't educate yourself and know your history, then you are liable to repeat history, whether it's bad or good. I want to be able to uplift people and to think about that. And that's what I want to do. I want to uplift. I'm not going to be that person that uses those words. It's not going to be me. We will not bow down to racism. We will not bow down to injustice. We will not bow down to exploitation. I'm gonna stand.